My name is James Tooley. I'm Professor of Education Policy here at Newcastle University. As well as Newcastle, I'm co-founder and chairman of chains of schools in Ghana, Omega Schools, Alpha Schools in Sierra Leone, Empathy Learning Systems in Hyderabad, India, and Cadmus Education in Gujarat, India. International education means different things in the different contexts I work in. To me, it means something very exciting. We are living in a wonderfully interdependent world, interconnected but interdependent. And so international education means to me equipping people wherever they are, whatever their background, to be full members of that international, interconnected, interdependent world. Here at Newcastle University, international education means trying to initiate the students into different types of education that are going on around the world. But the particular focus here is on emerging economies and developing countries. In the work I'm doing in Ghana, in other parts of West Africa, in India, international education means two things. One is English language. Parents, children want the international language, and that happens to be English at the moment. The second one is access to the global world of the internet, information technology. So there are two things that are so important that make up international education for the poor communities I'm working in: English language and information technology. The kind of curriculum that's taught in the low-cost private schools in West Africa and India, where I'm working, the parents, they want the safe option, and the safe option is the local national curriculum and the assessment system that goes with it. The curriculum and the assessment system that is used in these countries was the one that was brought in circa 1900, plus or minus 20 years, by the British typically. And it hasn't really changed over much. They haven't been able to bring their curriculum and assessment system up to date for the modern interconnected world. A lot of that curriculum takes children very, very slowly through the basics. And if you can condense a lot of that, then you free up time to do other things. We have a longer school day anyway than the government schools. So we can free up time to do more English, more focus on English and maths, more focus on information technology, and so on. So much more can be done with assessment in the countries I'm working in. Let's take India, for example. At class 10 or class 12, these are the only external examinations that are there. This allows schools to be complacent. The examination is not for 10, 12, even 14 years if you're going through kindergarten. Parents want to know what that result is, but when the result comes in, they don't blame the school if their child hasn't done well. They blame themselves or the child. This allows schools to be complacent. It also means that if a child drops out after 5 or 6 years of schooling, there is no certificate, no qualification for them at the end of that process. And also, these examinations can be criticised for focusing only on, if you like, cramming, the signalling aspect of assessment, rather than human capital development. Countries want to compare themselves in terms of education on the international stage, and I think they're measuring the wrong thing. We don't have the same end point. We don't have the same end goal in education in mind when we do assessments. Education is for scientific development, for cultural development, for the arts, for well-being of students, well-being of people, for democracy, all these things. Yet we think by measuring their children's ability in mathematics and science and English, therefore somehow we're measuring what the education system can do. I think we're measuring the wrong things. We don't have a clear idea of the end point of education, and that's why these assessments are so inadequate. I would like to see some way of unleashing the potential more, and examinations can play a role in that. Perhaps in terms of national curricula and national examinations, I'm not convinced that governments are equipping people very well for the international world. But the good news is there are other things going on within those countries. The process of globalization, the process of increasing global trade and global movement of peoples, these are themselves equipping children and young people for that international world. And so almost irrespective sometimes of what the Department of Education is doing in a country, the countries are equipping their young people for the new world of the new international dimension.